Hey guys, it's me, Ty, and welcome back to another video here today on the channel. Today, we are going to be making a bunch of tier lists themed around Halloween stuff. Because if you haven't seen the community post I made more recently, which you definitely should check out, in the channel community page, this month is Halloween month, it's spooky month. So we're gonna be doing a bunch of Halloween stuff. Because of that, we are going to be starting off this month with these spooky tier lists themed around like different Halloween stuff, from horror movies, horror games, characters, anything scary basically. So we're starting off. We're gonna be doing 3 tier lists. This one we're starting with is just a bunch of characters from horror movies, iconic horror characters. It can be the killer themselves. It could be just the main character. It can be anybody. And by the way, despite the fact that I really like horror, I do not know every horror character. So there's a lot of these characters here that I have no clue who they are. So if you do know who they are, maybe leave a comment down below on who I don't know and who I do. I don't know. Just give me a description of them, maybe. Just kind of tell me. It could be interesting. Maybe it's just a really cool character and I just never heard of him. But moving on from that, let's get right into this. So this is all horror characters. So starting off, we got the Annabelle doll from I think it's literally just called Annabelle. Never watched the movies, obviously, and I haven't really watched a lot of horror movies, but I do know the characters themselves. Annabelle, I'd say, is a B. The doll looks scary, and the things it does are scary, but I don't know, just something doesn't feel as, it doesn't have the umph. Especially since it's just a tiny doll, and compared to a full adult person that's giant and intimidating, compared to a tiny little doll with a knife, like Chucky, for example. I just don't find it as intimidating. I don't think it loses a lot of the scare factor, especially when it can look kind of awkward when their tiny doll is outpowering a grown person, you know? Uh, but yeah, next we have, no clue who this is. The image is too small, so I'm just gonna put them on the end here. Right here. So any character I don't know, I'll just put here, but, uh, another character I don't know, just put that there. Okay, I guess we have some creepypastas on here. I know this is the, uh, I think it's, Ben Drowned, is that his name? It's been so long since I've seen this one. I'd say C. Maybe when you're younger it'd be scary, but not really anymore. It's just another one of those really stereotypical horror things where, oh no, it's a haunted video game cartridge, and it's got scary stuff that happens, you know? It's just expected. But it's still pretty neat. It's one of the original ones that kind of started those kind of video game trends, so I can't really blame it. I think that is Bendy from Bendy and the Ink Machine. I'd say B. He's close to a C. Mainly because his games aren't actually that scary. I find them actually a lot more thrilling than anything. They're like a weird scary. It's like heart pounding, but not like, you know, like my brain is not immediately thinking I'm terrified of this guy. I'm thinking more, oh, he's kind of silly, which is kind of what he's supposed to be. He's a evil cartoon character. He's like evil Mickey Mouse, basically. But I just don't think he's got as much umph in the scary factor. Um, but he is still pretty cool as a character. His final kind of boss fight at the end of the game, where he's just this giant demon, that's pretty cool. Beetlejuice. Yeah, this movie, huh? I'd say I'd give Beetlejuice an A. Not because of the scariness, but because of the greatness. Like, it doesn't have to be scary to get a higher ranking here, but they have to just be a good character in general. Beetlejuice is from a not as high end horror thing. He's not really Like, it's definitely meant to be scary, but it's not meant to be, terrifying. It's more of a comedy than anything as movie, and I kind of like that. Uh, this is pretty good. Who's this? No clue who this is. Move that to the end. Also, don't know that. There's a lot of guys here I don't know. Don't know that. This is the, cartoon cat. I put D. It looks scary, but that's it. It's just, It doesn't get me, like, at all. There's no background, there's no story, it's just a creepy image, and that's it. Chucky, B. Basically, I'd say he's on par with Annabelle, but they're basically neck to neck. I'd say Chucky is less scary, but I do think Chucky is the better character. He's just got more personality. He's just kind of funnier and weirder, which is his whole thing. And plus, the doll doesn't look nearly as scary. It just kind of looks like a child, you know? Ah. No clue who that is. Maybe the character I do know, by the way, in the images, they're too small to notice. Dracula. Okay, just typical Dracula. I'd say B. He's just purely in the middle. He is like everybody knows the stereotypical vampire, stereotypical Dracula. They drink blood by biting you with the neck with their sharp teeth. They turn into bats, and they don't like the sun. You know, it's stereotypical stuff. It's expected, but it's also still got a chill factor to it that makes him still pretty good. So I like it. Ellen Ripley. Okay, we got a main character here. Not really, is more of a victim of the horror. I say Ellen Ripley's B. I've never watched Aliens before, but I do think that it's a solid character. Nothing really else. Obviously, she's not actually the horror character itself. She's just the kind of the victim of the story. So she's not really a scary character, but she's not a bad character. No clue who this kid is. Frankenstein, another typical one. I'd say C. He's extremely iconic, basically on par with Dracula, but he is not as scary as he should be. He just doesn't have any scary umph. Like he's just this old guy. So Frankenstein brings takes a bunch of body parts, combines them together, stitches them together to create Frankenstein's monster. This guy, but he's not that scary. He looks really goofy, if anything. Which is often why you can see him in media less as a scary thing, more of a silly, weird big guy, you know? Which I like. It does him well, but he just has no scary, like, at all. Which is not really good. Freddy Krueger. I say this is a good S tier. He's iconic. Very, very iconic. He's one of the biggest, horror characters out there of his franchise. He's got some scare factor. Most of the movies that, like I said, I haven't seen, but he's got a lot of scare factor to him. And his concept of only getting you in your dreams is actually pretty chilling and also kind of cool at the same time, because it means you have to stay up, you have to stay awake the whole time. But if you stay awake, you're gonna get sleep deprived, and you could potentially die because you're not sleeping enough. You get too tired and too weak. And that's pretty cool. It's like you're forced to do it, and you have to survive, or else you're done for. Ghostface. Let's say that he's in between S and A. I'd give him S. Mainly because his movies are pretty good. Uh, like I said, never seen them. Scream's a pretty good movie from what I've heard. Uh, he's he's got that really funny, not as scary. He's more of a chilling kind of character, you know? He gives you the chills, but he doesn't give you the freaks. You know? You're not going to be shivering the whole time because of him, because he's just some guy, or most of the time he's just some teenager in a outfit, you know, doing stuff. Often in the movies, from what I've seen in clips, he's not even very good at getting the kill. He's always flopping around and making mistakes, which is pretty funny. But it still adds the whole chill thing to it. He's pretty cool, and he's also pretty funny. So I like that. And he's also one of the few kind of horror characters that, you know, speaks. Most of the time, they like to keep them either not speaking or really, really likes to talk. He talks like every now and then, you know, occasionally when he needs to. So I think that's pretty nice. Don't know this guy. I think I recognize him, but I don't know. Hero Brian, D. He is extremely iconic, especially among video game players. Um, but with how the media treats him these days, to make him far less scary and more of a just a comedy character, and the fact that the whole thing about him was just that you summoned him at like a certain time of day, like 3 a.m., and he would appear in your Minecraft game and haunt you. It was unsettling when you were a kid. It's basically just like Ben Drowned. Actually, I put him on C. He's just not as scary, but he's basically on par here. Huggy Wuggy B. Poppy Playtime is widely a very either really loved among the younger audience or really hated among the older audience. I'm more in between, really, hence being in between in age of those two groups too. But Poppy Playtime is not a bad game. It's got some scary parts to it, like the scene where Huggy Wuggy's chasing you in the vents. That gets your heart going. That's pretty good. But the game itself and the concept and how they treat it, that's the bad part. But overall, when you look that, if you don't look at that stuff and move it to the side, he is pretty scary. I mean, he's got some good moments, but at the same time, his design looks so really silly. I think the only unsettling thing about it is the teeth in the mouth and that vent chase scene. I think that's his only good scary moment. He's only got one moment, and that's, I think, his falling factor. This guy, don't know. I think this might be the Invisible Man, actually. Uh, and D. He's always been the outcast among the iconic, big, just stereotypical horror characters. You know, he's always been that outcast among them. He's the fourth wheel, the third wheel, basically, among characters like Dracula and Frankenstein. He's not as big, he's not as scary, and he's just a dude that's invisible. I guess if you were in a situation where he was evil and he was going after you, that would be pretty crazy, especially since you can't really see him at all. But since he's often depicted wearing clothes to hide it, and the fact that he often in media isn't a bad dude, just adds to the factor that he just doesn't have it, you know. This guy, uh, I recognize him, but I don't know his name. I forgot it. I put him at C. He looks scary, but he looks more just like an edgy adult teenager hybrid than an actual horror character. Um, I feel like I know this guy, but I don't. Something's up with him. The image is too small. Maybe I can see the face better. Jason, another S tier. He's basically on par with Freddy, if not higher. Jason's easily my favorite horror movie character. I'm not, like I said, not seen his movies, but I've seen clips, I've seen stuff, and I just think he's awesome. He's just this big hulking guy that doesn't speak. He he's basically unkillable. Nothing's stopping him, and he just has a habit of killing teenagers. He's just so cool and also so brutal at the same time. It reminds me of how some of these characters fit in some video games, you know? Like for example, Freddy and Jason here were both added to Mortal Kombat. If you know, those are games about being brutal and bloody and stuff. And these guys fit it perfectly because that's their whole thing. I've seen leaks that potentially Ghostface is going to be added to Mortal Kombat and the newest one they just made. So that's even more just out there and it's awesome. Who is this? I feel like I know them. Is that Jeff the Killer? Are there any other? No, I think this is Jeff the Killer. I'd say B. His image on the internet is pretty unsettling, and his concept is kind of goofy. It kind of scary, I should say. But he's just too meh, you know? I really respect and like Jeff the Killer as a fictional character, but he's just another creepypasta out of many. He's definitely one of the most iconic, and definitely one of the most scary. But since creepypastas are just so low tier horror, in my opinion, I don't find him to be that, umph. Saw. Hey, the movies are pretty solid, from what I've heard. The puppet, I don't find very scary at all. I think it's just the things they do in the movies that are scary. Uh, but it's just the whole timer, the constant pressure that is put on you in the movie. I think that's what's pretty good. But the doll itself, not very intimidating, but still an A for the movie. Uh, no clue who these guys are. No clue who that is either. Uh, this is the lady from Resident Evil, that one DLC game, or just one game in general. I really don't know anything about her, so I'll just put B. I don't know like anything, but I do recognize her. So I'm just gonna put her in the neutral for now. Don't know who that is. Uh, okay, the werewolf man. I'd say B. I'd say it's basically exactly on par with Dracula. He's got a very similar concept, but instead of having the whole blood sucking thing and the turning into, and the and being immune to the day, he's got the fact that at when it's a full moon, a man turns into a werewolf and stuff. It's pretty cool. He's got more umph than Frankenstein. And I think that's what gets him going, especially since it's kind of a scary thing to see a giant man-sized wolf. I think that's kind of crazy. Michael Myers, another S. Basically exactly like Jason. Basically exactly on par. They are both really cool. Really crazy too. They basically do the same things, but Jason's a bit more based around you know, urban areas and like in the forest compared to Michael Myers, who's more focused around cities and houses and stuff, or just towns in general. He's pretty cool. He's pretty scary, and he's got a cool concept also. I appreciate him. Uh, what is this? I think this is the Fishman thing, one of those. It's another classic. I'd say D. Basically, like Invisible Man, like a side guy. He's the fourth wheel of the third wheel. He just something about him just doesn't hit, especially since he just looks really goofy. I think this is Nemesis from Resident Evil. I'd say B. He's really weird looking. Honestly, he just looks like a really beefy zombie, which I think is what he is, if I remember. Um, he's cool, very cool, but I don't think he's scary. I just think he's kind of out there. This guy I don't know. I recognize the face, but I just don't know him. Pennywise, B. A lot of people would rank Pennywise higher, especially since a lot of his newer movies, the remake of It and then It 2. A lot of people will rank him higher. Personally, I don't think he's worth getting higher. He is a good character. He is scary. He does scary things. but it's just not enough. He just doesn't have that, the stuff. He's not as iconic. They had to reboot him to make him do better, which is saying something. I don't think he looks as scary. I think that clown attire gets him actually a bit less points than he should. And some of the scary things he does in the movies, I don't think are that scary. More jump scares than anything. But this guy, Pinhead, is that his name? B. I know little to nothing about him. I think he's supposed to be like a demon or something. I think the whole thing with the pins in his head looks a little goofy. It makes him look silly. I think that's what holds a lot of horror characters back in this list, is how some characters can look a lot sillier than they're intended to be. I bet in his movies he's actually pretty intimidating, but I don't think he's just got the umph that they want to pull off here. Okay, the Predator? Why is the Predator on this list? I guess his movies have some scary factor or some scariness. They're kind of spooky, but they're more action, they're more like action movies. He's still an A though. Either way, even if he's not that scary, I do think he's awesome and his movies are great. But he would be in the S tier if his movies were actually horror movies, which they really aren't. They're more just kind of action with some horror involved, kind of sprinkled in there. Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2, S tier, or not S, A tier. He's awesome. He's very cool, very intimidating. The concept of just a giant dude with a giant pyramid head that's blind, that can only hear you, and he's just got this giant sword, is awesome. The fact that you have to be quiet whenever you're near him and stuff, it's really cool. It is very scary. He is very close to being S, but I just don't think he's as iconic enough to get there. This guy I don't know. The girl from The Ring. Let's say B. A lot of B's here. Just really neutral. Just some girl with a really run down hair, really long hair. It's like Rapunzel if she went up the well, and she went up that well, which is the well is the tower, and she went up into the down, and she's evil. I don't know. I just don't find it that scary. It's just some really ugly girl. And that's really it. I don't think she's really abnormal enough to kill. Plus, it's just some girl. I think that the average man could probably beat up just some girl in a fight. I don't think they have enough umph to protect themselves from that. But next we have no clue who that is. It's just like an abomination. Siren Head, he's one of the newer ones. More recent, he was like 2020 he came out. I say B. I think what's keeping him from being a C is his concept. The fact that he's just this giant fake radio tower that you can hear, and he can also mimic the voices of the people his victims to kind of trick people to go near him. I think that's really clever. But other than that, he's got nothing going for him. He's just some giant monster, which is not a new thing at all. So yeah. Slenderman, A tier. He is the OG creepypasta character. He's the old guy. He's the big old. He's got also he's the oldest when it comes to like creepypasta or just horror games in general. He is awesome. Slenderman's that one game, Slender the Arrival, that is an incredible horror game. It is extremely scary. The gameplay is very good. The story is just but the concept and the other characters that are in the games, like I'm pretty sure Jeff the Killer's included in the game, alongside Jane the Killer, who I think is just his female equivalent. Yeah, it's pretty good. They treat Slenderman well, except with that movie they recently released a few years ago. That wasn't doing him justice. But I have seen that they're going to be remaking the Slender Rival game, so that's going to be fun. Maybe I'll play that on the channel. Maybe if we can get this video to maybe like, I don't know, 30 likes, I'll play that on the channel. That would be fun. Moving on, we have Springtrap. FNAF is horror at its peak. Right now, FNAF is just the big name that doesn't do so hot, like a lot of other big names these days. I really like FNAF. I love FNAF. It's a very good horror game, a very good horror series. Recently, it hasn't been doing justice, but if we look in the past, it is phenomenal. Springtrap is awesome. The fact that it's just some crazy genius guy that runs a restaurant. But he goes cuckoo crazy. He kills a bunch of kids, because he's cuckoo. And he covers it up. But then these kids come back from the dead as ghosts, spirits basically, and they haunt him, and they force him to go in a suit that is secretly spring locked. So he basically is forcefully killed inside of it while alive and bleeds out, but he remains alive because his soul's intact. Is pretty cool, and also the fact that he's just he's gonna be in the FNAF movie, and he's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see him. But William Afton, Springtrap, is just a great villain. He's a great horror character, and he deserves the A tier. Vecna. I think a lot of people are gonna disagree and not very much like me for this, but I'm gonna put Vecna at C. Before the armies come raging after me, I can explain. First off, Stranger Things, the show. I get it's supposed to have some horror factor, but often in the show, with all the quippy puns, the other random shenanigans, and also just the silliness of a lot of the monsters, I can't take it so seriously. And Vecna is such a weird character to have as a final villain when they only just introduce him in the newest season. Or the last season, I should say. He looks really ugly. He looks like he's a living meatball monster. He doesn't look scary. His powers are kind of scary, but the whole psychic powers thing isn't new, and I don't think he's that scary. I don't know. There's just something about him that doesn't hit. He's not scary, like, at all, in my opinion. And he just doesn't add the creep factor, especially since the show isn't really holding him up. So that's just really my opinion. If you guys have other opinions, that's fine. But I just don't think that he's got the for it. Xenomorph, S tier. Oh boy, this is like the Alien versus the Predator thing. I think when it comes to horror, Alien's better, mainly because of the fact that its movies are actually meant to be horror movies. Alien is just awesome. It's just some scary, Alien. It blends in with the darkness. It makes hissing sounds. It's got a tongue that can break through metal. It basically has these like facehugger things that force you to birth their child through your chest. Like it's so scary. It's so cool, you know? It's awesome. It's awesome and also kind of spooky at the same time. It's unsettling when you see them just kind of in the dark, following and stalking you. It's cool. Especially since their tails are like super sharp. It's awesome. Leatherface. Let's just zoom through these next ones here. But Leatherface, let's say, is an A. He's just a big kind of idiot kind of guy with a chainsaw. It's like if you gave a grown man that has the brain of a baby a chainsaw and told him to go have fun. He's not very bright, but he's kind of funny at the same time. Especially since he was also added to Mortal Kombat, I think Mortal Kombat X alongside Jason. And the Xenomorph also was added with the Predator too. Crazy to think about. But He's just awesome. The just the while he's using it's kind of funny, but he's also pretty scary at the same time. Seeing just some giant man chase you with a chainsaw with skin on his face. That's kind of creepy. Um, don't know this. Don't know that. A Cthulhu, C and D. I don't find Cthulhu scary at all. It's more of a mythological kind of ancient deity than an actual scary thing. So I don't think it really gets through. This guy I recognize, but I just don't know his name. I'm putting him D. Monica. I'm surprised Monica's here. I'd say C. The game's got some unsettling factors, and the fact that it knows everything you're doing, especially even in the files, is kind of creepy. But I don't think it's necessarily scary. This kid from Trick or Treats, see, he doesn't look that scary, honestly. And I've never seen the movie, so I can't really say anything. This guy I don't recognize. This guy I don't recognize. Leon, A, just because he's an awesome character, not because he's scary, because he's the main character. Sonic EXE is a B. One of the better kind of EXE horror game kind of characters. He's the OG of those, I guess you could say. He's awesome. He's got some spookiness, but it's more just the fast-paced action that keeps you at bay. That's basically it. So if you guys agree with that tier list, leave comments down below on what your opinions are. Moving on to the next one, we're going to start zooming through these. This one I think you guys will very much like. It's a skeleton tier list. We're getting less on the spooky end and more on the funny end. Everybody knows that Halloween's all about the skeletons. And skeletons are the peak of hilarious. They are funny embodiment, basically. So, no matter what, we're going to take a bunch of random skeletons from media and rank them. First, Skeletor. I don't know why they have these funny things, but we rank him in the A tier, so A, B, C, D, and say this is F, or E, I should say. Skeletor's awesome. He's funny, he's silly, he's a phenomenal villain. He's the stereotypical villain that always loses and has to learn a lesson, and I think that's awesome. He makes it work, especially with how funny he is. Alola Marowak? It's not random. It doesn't. I'd say okie dokie. It's cool, but I don't think it should count as a skeleton. Ghost Rider. Definitely an A. He is chilling. He's got the spooks. He's got the funny. I don't. Okay, not about the funny, but he's got the spooks. He's the scary guy of the group. You could say. Sans. I'd say A. Spooky or not A. I'd say him B. A lot of people rank Sans A. Actually, yeah, I'll move with A. I just think he's so overused and is what holds him down, in my opinion. It's just how common he is to appear on these things now. I think it gets lower now. Marowak? Okay, we just have two Marowaks. Papyrus, I'd say he's just right below, Sans. He's just slightly less than Sans. That's it. I really don't have anything to say about it. I do not know this. I'm just gonna put gets under my skin. It's kind of chilling looking. This guy from Coco. I say nah. He's an okay character. Coco was a pretty solid movie. I don't really have anything to say about him. I don't really have anything to say. Don't know who this is to, so I'm just gonna put them there. Some of these skeletons, I guess I don't know. This guy, Skeleton Man, OP from the anime, what is it called? Overlord, I think it's called. I'd say him B. People that are fans of his show probably would rank him higher, or people that just know his basis would rank him higher. But I just don't really know anything about him. I don't find him that interesting. Plus he just doesn't have this. His skeletonness can kind of get overshadowed by his whole OP powers. Okay, we got the Dry Bones from Mario. I say B. He's pretty cool. I like him. I like him. He's pretty cool. And that scene in the Mario movie where they're chasing Luigi is actually kind of chilling. So I think that's pretty cool. Uh, the skeleton dinosaur. I would say B. They're pretty cool, but I don't think they're anything else. Don't know who that is. Oh, the skeleton guy from SpongeBob. That's a B. That guy's funny. I like him. I like him. Uh, don't know this. Oh, I do know you. Jack Skellington's NA. His movie is incredible. Who doesn't love The Nightmare Before Christmas? He's funny. He's cool. He's got an incredible design. He's clever as a character, and he's something you appreciate. Red Skull, the guy that's got a head that's shaped like a skull that's red. Don't really consider him a skeleton, so I just put him here. He's a good character, but I just don't think he's got it. This guy, don't know. Don't know that. Don't know you. Can barely even see what's in that image. And this guy from the memes, I'd say C. Yeah, that's my ranking. If you guys agree with that, that's okay. Just know that these guys down here, I just do not know at all. But moving on, we have the final thing, which is video game stuff. So we got Five Nights at Freddy's horror. So this is not your typical Five Nights at Freddy's thing. It's not ranking characters. It's ranking jump scares. This is from the first game all the way to the 5th game, it looks like. So ranking jump scares from each game and how scary or just good in general they are. Starting with the Foxy, from the Withered Foxy jump scare, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I'll do A. Gave me a heart attack. That this jump scare can catch you off. The whole jump into the face thing, that catches you off. It is out there in the spook. It really gets you. It gets you pretty good, especially since how fast he goes. You know, he just leaps right after you, right when you're not paying attention. It's out there. Toy Freddy, I'd say B. It definitely can make you jump, but once you see it enough, or when you see it the first time, and you just see when the jump scare is over, where he's just opening and closing his mouth and it just kind of shakes. You know, it's just not scary. You know, it just kind of looks like he's like chewing on something weirdly. Bonbon. C. I will get a jump out of it, but as it says here, but I don't think it would get me as much. Toy Chicas. Let's say C. It's got another leap, but I don't think the leap is as scary, especially since her face is still the whole time. Innard. I say B. A bit scarier, especially since the faceplate opens up to the atrocities that are inside. Yeah, it's got some to it. Foxy's is D, no reaction. The first time you're not expecting it, it's not gonna get you. It's gonna get you, like maybe a little bit. If you don't even see where he came from, though, you're not even gonna know what happened. His is not that scary at all. And for that one, Golden of Freddy, from FNAF 2. I put C. You'll jump a little bit, but I don't think it's gonna get you. No clue what this is. Just gonna move that to the side. No reaction. Nightmare Foxy from FNAF 4. B. You're definitely gonna get a bit of a jump out of it, but I don't think it's gonna do too much, especially since it's just him like, you know, it's just kind of opening and closing the mouth, which is what a lot of the FNAF 4 jump scares have, which I think can be scary, but only with some of the characters. I just don't think Foxy's has enough Nightmare Bonnie, I'd say it's basically on par. Not as much. Withered Freddy, C. It's like Toy Freddy's, but he opens it and closes his mouth even more. It looks like he's chomping you, but it's not that scary. I think you just get a jump out of it. Oh, the Phantoms. Phantom Balloon Boy is a B. His isn't that scary, but it's just so sudden. That's what gets you. I can't tell which is which. I think this is Phantom Chica. Phantom Chica is no reaction. Most of the time, you're gonna be avoiding it. And whenever it does get you, it's like maybe a tiny jump, but it's nothing at all. Let's see. Phantom Foxy. I'd say C. You might jump a little bit, but it's not gonna get you too much. Phantom Freddy is an A. He comes out of nowhere. If you do not know how to deal with him in the game, he will jump you out of nowhere. It will get you. You will jump. You will have a heart attack, as it says here. Okay, FNAF 5. Sister location, we got Ballora. Say Ballora's is a B. Whenever they open the faceplate, that can get pretty unsettling, and the noise it makes can be really just, like right in the face, but nothing really serious. I'd say that, Funtime Foxy's is a bit scarier, especially with the eyes, but I don't think it's really anything else. The realism that FNAF 5 had, or Sister Location had, just adds a bit more oomph to it. Let's see, we got Golden Freddy's and FNAF, 1. I say no reaction. You're not really gonna get scared by something that's just constantly screaming in your face. It's just gonna feel really uncomfortable, actually. I don't think you're gonna get really scared. There will be a reaction, but it's not gonna be a seriously scared one. Puppets, I'd say C. You might jump a little bit because of it, but it's nothing bad, especially since you're expecting it most of the time. Nightmare Own, I'd say B. It's basically very similar to the characters replacing, which is Nightmare. I think it's Nightmare. I don't think he's just that as scary. Who is this? Is this Freddy? No, I don't know who that one is. So no. It's the Foxy one again, but I think this is the less scary one. I'd say you jump a little bit. Actually, no, up a B. This is the one that jumps up at you. I think this one's not scary, but it's still kind of jump scares you, which is the whole point. Yendo's, I'd say C. Just jump a little bit. That's it. Or no, that's Nightmare. Not Nightmare. It's Funtime Freddy. I'd say yeah, his is just a C. I thought this was only FNAF 5 and below, but it looks like we have this character. I think this is supposed to represent Baby's jump scare. I put C. Nothing too serious. Springtraps is a D. Oh, despite the fact that Springtrap is a phenomenal FNAF character, he's one of the best in the series, his jump scare in FNAF 3 sucks. He kind of just like shuffles towards you with making a slightly groaning noise, and that's it. It's or like the jump scare noise, but it's not scary, especially with how slow paced it is. Oh, excuse me. Got the on to me, but Nightmare Freddy, I'd say it's a B. You're not expecting it at all, unless you know that the Freddos are all over the place. But if it does get you, you're done for. Chica's, I'd say, is a B. It's got more umph than the others. I think a bit more. Freddy's definitely has more umph, but slightly more than like Bonnie or Foxy's. Fredbear is a B. Nightmares is also a B. They're basically on par. This is also B. Just kind of zooming through these. I say C for Scrap Trap, is that his name? No. How did I forget the name? Spring, or is it Trap? Plush Trap, that's his name. It escaped my mouth. Yeah, his jump scare kind of gets you. Same with Balloon Boys. Let's say Balloon Boys is a bit more off, especially with how many teeth he has. It's unsettling how many teeth some of the characters have. Bellora's. I said this one today. The one where she just out of nowhere just gets you and then opens the mouth, the face. Oh, it gets you. It gets you. That's crazy. Mangles is B. I think if it was a bit more sudden, it would be scarier. Molten Freddy, okay. I say he's a C. His isn't that bad. Bonnie's an A. Chica's an A, and Freddy's is also an A. The original jump scares in FNAF 1, most of them are actually pretty scary, except a few. But they're pretty good. I don't think any of these are worth S tier, but I do think that a lot of them are still pretty good. If you guys agree with these rankings, make sure to comment down below on what you agree with these, just like any of the other tier lists we did here. And that's where we are going to end off today's video of these tier lists. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to like down below and subscribe. And remember, if we can get this video to 30 likes, I'll see if we can play the remaster of Slender: The Arrival here today. Not today, but here on the channel. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.